Welcome to the Noise Podcast, brought to you as part of the Noise Podcast Network in association with Liquid Death. Thanks for murdering our thirst. I'm Will, and you're about to hear episode 2 of Favourite Noizzes, in which I speak to Mollie from Knife Bride about all sorts of things, partly her favourite record from this year, but also we talk horror movies because why not? And I also speak to the wonderful Emmy of Aussie. Alt rock doesn't really do them justice, but I would say alt rock, bits of new metal, some ska, some pop punk. It's a whole melting pot. That's a band called RedHook, who have just released their second album, Mutation. Also, strongly urge that you check out their earlier record as well, Postcard from a Living Hell. That was their debut. Very good. Mutation is even better. It's really leveled up. And they've just toured the UK with Dream State. So we chat a little bit about that and their plans. It's a really great episode. I had a great time. Hopefully you enjoy it too. Please do make sure to follow us on Twitter at Noise Podcast and Instagram Noise Podcast Network. The main site can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and totally not Twitter, Blue Sky, at Noise UK. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Be sure to listen wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other platform that we're on. If you fancy checking out our Spotify Essentials playlist or want to buy some merch even, got some links in the bio for you to have a little click at. And if you're feeling even more generous than that, it'd be amazing if you could leave a review on your platform of choice, wherever you've listened to this. That'd be swell. It helps more than you'd think. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the episode, everyone. Well, for this segment, I'm now joined by Mollie from Knife Bride, who coined the term for themselves Nu Gothika. Before we get into that, first of all, just how are you doing today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm really good. We're still, as a band, like coming down from the tour that we've just been on. So very much like straight back to our day jobs vibes, which you don't get a lot of time to decompress.
No.
Um, but I'm good. I'm good. I'm still riding the wave, which is really nice. We had the best time, so we're still on a high from that. But very much just trying to accept the fact that we're back into this mode, I guess, of life.
Back into the oh, I'm not doing anything fun right now moment
Mm.
kind of mode. Yeah.
Yeah, back into the like, am I even a musician mode? Like you go back to work and you like, I guess, just have to enter this very yeah, it feels a bit bland, like the landscape when you've come back from something that's so vibrant and so um you just look forward to it so much and then it goes so
Hmm.
quick. But yeah, I'm accepting it, but begrudgingly.
It is a big change of mindset, and I find that even on like a really much smaller scale, switching between sort of my day job in the energy industry, which is so dry, and then obviously kind of the journalism side of it, which is so different.
Yeah,
And like, it's not on tour, it's not the same kind of a different, waking up in a different city or driving to a different
your
city.
your creative outlet. That's the thing. It's the color, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Although, sometimes I make some nice PowerPoints, so there's that.
This is it. Yeah, my day job is within like office spaces and co-working
Okay,
spaces.
yeah.
So again, you could say it's dry. There's parts of it that are lovely. It's very human. I'm very connected. But if you are a musician or you are within the music industry, nothing is
Yeah.
ever ups and sides, is it?
No, it's like, I've got a lovely team that I really like working with. I've not been there long, but they're all good people. But then it's like, then I go to a gig.
Mm. And you're like, oh, that's my soul being lit on fire.
Yeah,
I
this
forgot
is this is
about
what it's
that.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I have to say, like, if you can find a job when you are within what we are, like that facilitates
Yeah.
your other love. Like I'm lucky, like everyone in the band, we're lucky that we've got jobs that facilitate the music. Like
Yeah.
as much as sometimes I'm like, oh God, it's such a slog. My my bosses, if I told them that I had to go on tour next week and I'd be away for a month, they would sort it out for me. That's so important. Like
Yeah.
you're so lucky and privileged if you can find a day job that works around what we do, because obviously it's so up in the air.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, isn't it? And, you obviously plan things a long time in advance, but then sometimes offers just drop in your lap, and you're like, I can't not take this with being had.
100%, 100%. Even if you look at the offer and you think, oh, fucking hell, am I about to go into big debt for this, for this, or is it going to work out? You've got to do it. You've got
Yeah,
to do it.
you kind of roll the dice every time, don't you, though?
You roll the dice. Yeah, you do, definitely.
Speaking of that, obviously the tour you've just come back off is with defenses, if I'm right. And you say that
Defect, defect.
defects.
Yes.
Okay. I
Defense is
have
really
I'm
cool though. That would be a
Yeah.
sick tour. If you're
That's
listening,
what I was thinking. Yeah, I really like the defenses record. I was listening to it recently. It's like, which is probably what's thrown me.
that would be yeah. Guys, if you're listening, we would love to tour with you. They're fucking killing it at the moment. But no, we were on tour with Profiler and Defects.
Ah, okay. I haven't seen defects before, but I have seen Profiler, and they are good fun.
Yeah,
I
they're
must
really
say.
good. And they're like the tour was cool because there were like all different flavors going on. I feel like we all brought something very different. And Profiler obviously have that very like new metal thing. Like their set actually was very. There was lots of synergy between the way that they every like their interludes, for example, were very reminiscent of Limp Bizkit's Download set. So I recognised that and I liked the nod to them. But it was done really tastefully. Really, really nice guys, really energetic on stage, a joy to be on tour with. And Defects, again, were a joy to tour with, really talented musicians. And they've got some real hardcore fans that were really welcoming to us as well, which was great. Because obviously, I'm not going to lie, I'm the only woman in any of those three bands and any of the three teams. So there was not much femigy going on, but they really, really made space for me and didn't make me feel out of place, which was good. And there was no, I feel like I had to wave the flag a little bit to the audience sometimes and be like, yes, I am, women are part of this industry as well, but I also didn't feel like massive resistance. So I
Right.
did because I did have to think about that before we went on the road.
Yeah, I can imagine it is a bit of a challenge, being, like you say, the only woman in three bands and all the teams,
Hmm.
and feeling and wondering if you're going to come up. I think though, I want to think that it's changed a bit for the better in terms of, fan
Definitely.
bases, and when you're out there, people are going to be more accepting, and it's not just and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they were all misogynists, but there were a lot of times with the kind of the older guard, where they were very resistant to just any new
Yeah,
band being
yeah,
on the
totally.
like.
That's what I would definitely agree with because I would say that Defect have got quite a classic thing going on,
Hmm.
and so I think some of their fans might be yeah, just maybe potentially a bit old school. But again, like we were very, very well accepted, and it was so good to see not only fans of ours that had seen us on the Skins tour or seen us with Wargasm, approaching us and buying merch and stuff, but we were also gaining new fans through their fans, which was great.
Yeah, that's always a really nice feeling. So coming on to, can talk about Knife Bride a bit, because, I feel like there are people that definitely know who Knife Bride are and they love Knife Bride, but there are people that, as with every band, I guess, but like who don't.
Yeah, we're
And
still
so,
babies. We're still babies in the scene.
so I'd like to just, I mentioned it before. I'd like to just sort of pick your brain a bit about. So we've, sort of been using the term Nu Gothika. You've sort of used to describe yourselves. I'm interested to sort of see how you tell people like what that means, in terms of like your sound and your ethos as like a band.
Yeah. So we obviously, when we first got together, well, it's not obvious. I don't even know if people would know this, but when we first got together, it was in lockdown. It was in COVID times, words that I don't like to use. But it was then, and we remotely recorded Tits and Teeth. And I think instead of like coming up with what we wanted to be first, we were like, let's record a single and then sort of decide what we think that sounds like and form our genre off of that, which is where slut metal came from.
So, because that's where
Um,
I first heard of you when you were kind of using that moniker.
yeah, yeah, but I don't think that it ever felt really authentic. I think we were like, oh, that packs a punch.
It
Um,
turns heads, yeah.
Yeah, and we did there was a place in our heart at that time for Tits and Teeth, and it felt very empowering, and it felt like what we wanted it to be. But then we very quickly moved on from that, we very quickly, and even like, and then we recorded Grenade, and we were like, okay, that's different from Tits and Teeth, but we're still not happy. And then we had Neil and Lewis, so Lewis Johns and Neil Kennedy reach out to us, who are just incredible. And we've worked with them as our producers from Fang Dummy onwards. And I feel like Fang Dummy was the first time that I was like, ooh. And it was that real dark, visceral inkiness that I was like, okay, I feel like we found our genre. And from there onwards, obviously, we then wrote Don't Dream Too Much, our first EP. And everything since then has sort of been enveloped in this sort of gothic um, thing, but I didn't know what it was because we're not goth. So I wanted it to still, um, I wanted you to be able to hear that we're like a post-genre, cross-genre merge, and we wanted to coin a term because, like, I just think that we're in that landscape at the moment where, like, if you can, then why the fuck wouldn't you? If you're in the alternative scene, why not like really enjoy the art of expression to the fullest, sort of thing. And I think Gothica, we were just looking for these beautiful words that we felt like really encapsulated it. And the word Gothica can mean a few different things. And one of the things that it means is like a feeling that no one else feels. It's something that only, is only true to you. And I feel like that's what I really want people to experience when they listen to our music. It doesn't really matter what I think it's about, or what Sean thinks the song's about, or what Craig or the other Sean. It's however, it's how it feels when you take it in. I want our music to cause a real visceral reaction. And I think that's the sort of main takeaway. It's this state of mind that maybe you can't explain to someone else. It's the nostalgia element of it. When you smell something, you're like, oh my God, that takes me somewhere. Or you hear something and it takes you somewhere. I think we want our music to do that for people, but it's not specific. It's specific to them only, if that makes sense. And then the new at the front is just saying, but it's also fun.
We like
If
we
that
like a bit
makes
of
sense.
bounce, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we can still party as well. Um,
Yeah,
and like Gothica is a horror film as well, and like the Don't Dream Too Much EP is very much like horror slash dream related. Like it's all about like sleep paralysis and nightmares and blah blah blah. So, and we came up with it sort of during the writing of that. So I think that it wants to lend to that sort of thing. I'm a massive horror film fan, and I am the I write the lyrics. So
yeah.
anything that comes from us usually will have something a bit gory and disturbing in there, um, even if it's about something that's not that way inclined, but it's sort of wrapped up with that bow, I guess.
Yeah, you're using it as like a storytelling vehicle. It's like
Mhm.
so you mentioned that, and I'm going to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works because I know I didn't mention we were going to do this before, but you've mentioned it now.
Okay.
You're a big horror film fan.
Mhm.
It's something that I've started doing more and more is watching some horror films over the past
Okay.
like year or so because I was always crap with them. Um, what's your favorite horror that's come out this year?
This year, oh my God, this year, what have I watched? There's so many that I'm desperate to watch. Like Terrifier and The Substance. I think The Substance probably doesn't sit within the realms of like I think it's body gore horror as
Yes.
opposed to I'm not gonna lie, it's mainly old horror that I watch. Like I fell in love with, and again, people are gonna judge me for this, but when I was like 13, 14, I massively got into all the Saw films and then the collector films, all of the Hostel, like anything that's just a bit gross. I got into Texas Chainsaw Massacre, um, And then I started watching some really disturbing, like indie films when I was in my teens as well that I wouldn't even remember the names to. But this year, I actually don't think that I've been to the cinema once. Is that
Okay.
really terrible?
No, I think, as a film buff, you don't have to keep up with what's coming out.
I think
If
the
you know,
last time that I really got into, like, I watched a horror film like 2 nights ago, but I can't say that it's because it was just shitty. It was a shitty Netflix film. It was all right. Sorry if anyone loved it. It's called like Don't Move or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't off the top of my head because I
It,
haven't,
it,
I'll be honest, I haven't had Netflix in a while because I just feel like there's just not enough on there that I want to watch, you know?
it was okay, but it was a horror called Don't Move, and it's about a woman that meets a shady dude, and he injects her with this like paralysis drug, and then he's like, "You've got 20 minutes before it sets in." So it's quite a cool idea because then she obviously is going through the motions of trying to. She sets her timer on her watch, and she's like, "Okay, I've got 20 minutes until I'm totally fucked." Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah. Yeah, you're
um,
fine.
so yeah, that was all right. I haven't seen anything that's blown me away for ages, but I bet after this interview, I'm going to remember the last time I was absolutely blown away by a horror film was Midsummer. Like I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Um, oh God, I have watched a horror film this year. Oh, sorry, you're going to wish you hadn't asked me this question. And it's about, just see if you know it quickly.
Okay.
It's about all these guys and girls that go to a house, and it's American. So obviously they used to be friends at high school, and then they all fell out, and blah blah blah. And then someone brings a contraption that allows them to like swap bodies.
Oh, I don't think I know that one. I thought, you were going down sort of the abandoned house kind of trope, and I was like, I've seen one this year, and that was In a Violent Nature. But that's a very different sort of film. So no,
The
I don't think I
Violent
do.
Nature. No, I haven't seen it. But
So
yeah, sorry, I've been a real letdown there. But I've probably seen more than I can remember, but I've just got the worst memory ever. Um, but yeah, my films on my list, because I still haven't seen The Terrifier, the first one or the second one.
I've
So
not either. No.
I'm desperate to see them because I know that they will make me like properly scared. And I haven't had anything like that for a while. Like I used to love like Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes and all that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So realistically, I need to update my knowledge and collection of horror
Yeah.
films.
I mean, it's been a while for me. I think I've seen maybe three or four this year, like in
What
the
have you seen this
cinema.
year, just in case it jogs my memory?
So this year, I saw In a Violent Nature, which
I
I
haven't seen.
didn't love. I thought it was a really interesting idea. The
Yeah.
idea is it's a slasher from the killer's perspective,
Oh,
but a lot of it is actually shot during the day as well.
okay. I'm looking at it on my phone right now, and I love the look of it.
Yeah, there's one particular kill that's sort of on I think on a cliff edge that's just so ridiculous and over the top. You have to laugh at it. Like so, it's not quite a horror film because I didn't feel like it's not scary,
Yeah,
but it was good. I saw oh what was it? The First Omen, I think. The
not
one
my cup of tea. Is that paranormal? I don't like anything like that, really.
it was all right. It was it was decent. It was better than I expected it to be, given how some of the Omen sequels have been
Yeah,
received.
yeah.
What else have I seen? Abigail, the vampire film about this like a small girl who's actually like a several hundred-year-old vampire.
Oh,
Um,
okay. It's
it's
like Orphan, but the other way around. Oh no, not the other way around. But
possibly
Orphan.
I found it really funny and also
Okay.
quite gory.
Funny.
Like again, it wasn't like it's not a typical horror. It's kind of set in that it's in that vein because it's very bloody and it's
Yeah,
and it's a vampire film, but it's not like a super scary film. And what was the other one I saw? Immaculate.
I haven't seen it.
That
Immaculate.
one I really liked.
Let me put it on my list.
That's about it's the one that Sydney Sweeney actually
Oh, okay.
bought and ended up making like helping make rather I think plays a nun that is invited to a convent for and then it kind of unfolds from there.
Nice. Okay. I will
That's
give it
quite a
a
good
watch.
one. That one I
Um,
quite liked.
one other film that I know is being remade this year It's called Speak No Evil, but I loved the
Yes.
original, and I watched that for the first time this year, and that was brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
oh,
I've
it's so
not.
annoying because we'll have to chat films again at some point. I should actually write films down when I watch them because I feel like I forget instantly, which is
Yeah.
really
Oh, we'll have an opportunity that we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, I've heard seen about the Speak No Evil one. I've not
the
seen it
original's
yet.
great. Watch the original. Though I find it really strange because the original's only from a few years ago. But I guess obviously they're just Americanizing it. So
Yeah,
sometimes
but they had well, they brought James McAvoy in, didn't they? And he's just, I think he's a phenomenal actor.
he
Like
is
he's
phenomenal.
so physically intense. It's quite like he kind of brings his own sort of physical terror to things.
Yeah, definitely. It's like the Christian Bale effect.
For sure. Yeah. Well, we'll move on from films, and we'll talk about why we're doing this, which is favorite albums of the year. To be fair, last year we got sidetracked. I spoke to Serena from Svalbard. We ended up talking about her favorite games, favorite video games
Really?
of the year. Yeah. So yeah, favorite album of the year. I was sent over in advance your pick, which is the debut album by Harriet, Devoured by the
Mm,
Mouth of Hell.
mm.
I actually spoke to them the other night, and they had some interesting picks as well.
What were their picks? I'd love to.
They picked Knocked Loose,
Nice.
um, and that was and then we had that was Deb's pick, and then Erhan picked Charlie XCX Brat.
Really?
Yeah,
Unexpected. I love it.
yeah, it's a good pick. I'll give him
It's
that.
a bloody good pick.
Yeah. So we
I
talked
rate
about
both picks.
yeah we talked Knocked Loose and Brat Green for a bit, so that was fun. But your pick, which I've mentioned before, is also my pick. My favorite out record I've heard this year is the Harriet record.
Yeah.
Um,
Powered by the
tell,
Mountain.
yeah, tell me a bit about what you love about it so much.
I love the fact that it does all of the things, like what I was saying about earlier, like my favorite music just wraps you up. And I just feel like it is so beautifully layered. I feel like everything, the texture is just stunning. Debbie's voice is insane, and haunting and angelic. And then obviously, like fucking, like her aggressive vocal is just the most like, and the way hers and Jake's vocals work together as well is just perfect. I just feel like it's a magnificent, um, yeah, like incredible record. I just don't think that they could have done a better record. I just think it's immaculate. Um, and it just makes me feel loads of things. It really, really took me through lots of different emotions listening to it. And like, it's like they don't need to follow any sort of formula. They're just good enough that it is what it is. It's art, isn't it? It's just fucking perfect.
Yeah. I think I think they've come from such an interesting place where they kind of came from when you look back at Profound Morality, and
Hmm.
they there was a big you could kind of hear a big influence from like End and bands that were kind of like or like Nails, and that influence is still there in that really hyper aggressive grindy metallic hardcore,
Yeah, but
but
they've honed it.
they've just thrown the gates open,
Yeah,
and
and that's
you've got a song like Lashed, um like which is this industrial 9 Inch Nailsy quite
yeah,
healthy kind of vibe. And
sexy. I just thought that
yeah,
was just really sexy as well.
I
Like,
Lashed is one of my favorite things they've written. Like
hmm,
it's up there, and it's such a great representation of them as artists, I think.
yeah. Well,
Because I
they're just going from strength to strength, and they're such nice people as well that I know that I just think they'll just keep fucking conquering. That as well is the whole band that has picked that as their pick as well. It's not just me. Like we are
okay.
we are Harriet Stans.
Well,
If
that makes all of us then. Yeah, because
Craig was here right now, Craig would be like taking the laptop off me. Craig is like number one Harriet Stan. Um, yeah,
is he the one with the tattoo?
is he the one with the tattoo? He hasn't got a Harriet tattoo. Do you know what is interesting though? I don't think he has a Harriet tattoo. Maybe. What is interesting is that Craig and Jake look very, very, very similar.
Okay,
Like really similar.
that's quite funny.
Yeah, and we actually have said before, like we should, like if we're ever on a build together, we should swap them out. I think that would be so fucking iconic. We'll see. Maybe one day. Watch this space.
Yeah, let's hope so. That would be great. No, I'd
Yeah.
very much be on board with seeing them swap around. But no,
Yeah.
there is somebody out there, and it isn't me either, with a Harriet tattoo. Um, and I was like, fuck, they beat me to it.
Is it a
Um,
good is it does it look good? Have they
it
done a good
does.
job?
Yeah, it's like
Good.
it's like the I think like the H and it's a really cool logo. And
Nice.
it's a cool tattoo, yeah. So yeah, it
That
is a good tattoo. So like I'm not just saying this it's out there and it's crap. No, it's a good tattoo.
I doubt there's only one person with a Harriet tattoo. I reckon there's probably
Oh,
loads.
there's definitely a few, but I've only
They're
seen
global,
one. Like
baby.
they are. Like I've only seen one kind of through social media, but I'm confident there's a bunch. And
Right,
it's
okay.
like yeah, and they're to kind of think of how far they've come,
Mhm.
and like going to a show now or going to like a festival. The amount of Harriet merch I saw at Arctangent this year was really quite impressive. Like they weren't playing, but people were
Yeah,
decked out in the merch.
that's it. They're a staple. They're a fucking staple of the scene.
Yeah,
And like so they should be as well.
yeah, and to accomplish that by your debut album.
I know. It is fucking insane. Like
Do you,
it couldn't have gone better.
do you ever look at that and go, all right, no pressure?
Well, it's I think we're just like truly like in awe of them. I think that's the takeaway for us. Like I think we feel our own amount of pressure for our first album release, or even like where we feel massive pressure for every single release. I'm not going to lie to you. Like we've just released Territory, for
Yeah,
example, and it's so funny, but like being real, like being completely real with you, like we released Territory and it's in a couple of weeks it's got 10,000 streams organically, which I'm so so happy with. But there was a tiny part of me which is so awful that was like, oh no, but we haven't got a Spotify editorial playlist. It's so because that's something that obviously boosts your streams massively. And it's a lovely thing, but it's not organic, is it? It's so it's funny how you put pressure on certain elements, even though the I should be like, oh my gosh, it's so good that we've got this incredible following. You still put this pressure on yourself that you don't need to put on. I think that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? You always want to do better and better. And sometimes it is like the numbers that feel reaffirming, but you've got to remember that it's absolutely not. It's the diehard fans, it's the people that stick with you for each release.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I think that the pressure is just caused by our own silly sort of self-sabotaging brains a lot of the time. But no,
Yeah.
seeing them release a killer album like that, I'm just like I just am in total awe of them, and we just have so much respect for them as a band. So it just couldn't happen for nicer people.
No, I'd absolutely agree with that. Every time that I've had the chance to speak to them, they've been just the nicest, you know, chat to them, done a couple of interviews or like spoken at the merch desk, and they're just great people
Yeah, they
making
really.
it's quite funny, isn't it? They're such lovely, friendly people making some of the most like aggressive.
That is always the case, though, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
always the case. That's what, like, when people say about like that whole thing of like, oh, isn't download a bit scary? Isn't download festival a bit scary? And it's like, no, it's the least intimidating, nicest, most like wholesome place. Like, I don't ever want to go to a dance festival again. I don't ever want to go to, do you know what I mean? That's where I feel out of my comfort zone. I want to
yeah,
be, I want to be in a field with metalheads, thanks. That's where I feel safest. Please and thank you.
yeah. I have noticed like download does generally feel really good. Like Arctangent. Arctangent is probably the best
I
festival I've
haven't
ever
been.
been to.
I haven't been. Me and
It's
Sean need to get tickets for
yeah, it's
as soon as
genuinely
possible.
like and again, I'm not knocking Download. I think it's a great festival, and it does so much to represent like such a good broad range of bands.
Yeah,
But like Arctangent, it's because it's niche, because it's small, and because everyone's a
yeah.
bit weird. Like it's oh, got a cat outside my room. It's
Okay,
it's just got the best atmosphere I've ever experienced. It all feels super friendly,
nice.
and that's
It
just
was,
really cool.
we were wanting to go this year because Meshuggah were playing,
They were
and
very good.
oh, don't, because Sean was fucking devastated. But obviously, they've just been announced for download next year.
Yeah,
So at 9 p.m. this evening, when the tickets go on sale, I said, let's go as punters, baby, because what a fucking lineup.
yeah, absolutely. It's really great, and
Obviously, download if you're listening to this and you do still want to book us, then feel
like,
free.
please give us a ring. Yeah.
Yeah, here's my number.
And that moves us on to sort of like the last thing I wanted to talk about then quite nicely as well is that yeah, so 2025 plans that you've got in motion. Obviously there's the big one that we mentioned before, which I'll let you kind of let you announce as well, is out there. But yeah, any other plans that you want to shout out and talk about?
Well, to be honest, we are going to focus a lot on being in the studio. We've got lots of gorgeous new music that we're cooking right now. And we've got quite a hefty release plan in place and schedule in place. So in terms of live stuff, we're only going to be saying yes to a couple of things that feel right and feel really exciting for us. But mainly we're going to be sort of in hiding because we love, love, love. We're best mates. We love being in the studio together. We love our team. We love creating and writing new music. So it will be quite a we'll be a little bit in isolation, but in like a nice way, and just doing things but behind the scenes. But there's loads of exciting stuff, but not so much live. However, we will be playing Noizzefest, which we are so excited for. And that was like an absolute no-brainer when you guys came to us and offered us that. So
Really, that genuinely is like the best thing that we can possibly hear as well as
oh,
the people
absolutely.
organizing it is like if someone says to us we wanted to play, we're just like that it doesn't quite compute. When
Really?
you have that thing in your head when you're like, that's awesome, we love hearing it, but what?
You've done a wicked lineup, man, and there's loads of girls on the lineup, and I fucking love to
Yeah.
see that.
And that again, is like we're really excited to bring you to the fest because we had such a like we really obviously like Knife Bride and we just thought it's such a no-brainer to invite you on because you were
Thank
on
you.
the list, kind of the potential list for last year.
Yeah.
We filled it up and we were like, nah, shit, okay.
Oh, well, no, we're so glad that you've got us for next year.
Yeah,
We did a wicked interview with you guys at was it Download or 2000 Trees? Um,
good question. What year?
this year.
This year. I
I
wasn't
just
at Download. Did we
well,
did we
we
see?
we spoke to the Noise guys, and like you're all wicked, like,
Yeah,
and we love what you're doing. So
thank you. I feel like it might have been trees, but that'd be really
it
bad if
all
I'm wrong.
blurs. It all blurs. It was like the best, most craziest summer, but it totally blurs.
Yeah. But yeah, we're really fucking excited to welcome you to it as well. And like some of the bands that we've booked, like in terms of kind of the representation of the lineup, that wasn't even deliberate. We didn't sit
No,
down and go, we have to do X, Y, Z. We we
yeah,
we put all of the names in and then looked at it and went, oh, we've done that really well. Nice.
yeah. You've done it. You've done it for actual fucking talent and good music, and it's just so happened that it's actually worked out to be a really nice, diverse lineup, which is what we all want to fucking see.
Absolutely. And it's something that we're keen to book without forcing it as well.
Yeah.
So to anyone listening, that's on the 26th of April. Yes, 26th, because it was the 27th this year. 26th of April 2025. I think, well, our early bird has ended, unfortunately, but we've got a new announcement coming. Depending on when this goes out, it might have already been and gone, actually, but we are announcing our headliner at the end of November, and we're excited about that. Like, let
Oh,
me
that's
tell
the
you.
end of November you're announcing.
Yeah.
We don't know that either, so we're very excited to hear.
Well, yeah. We're like when we locked them in, because it took us a little while and a little bit of back and forth. It's been tough, I think a few places we're not surprised we struggled with a tiny festival, tiny or one day, but like a few other places have struggled. So it felt kind of nice to be in that boat of it's
Mm.
not just us.
Yeah.
But when we got it confirmed, it was a big yes, this is finally happening moment. Tell you after. But yeah,
Oh, yes, please.
for anyone listening to this, end of November you'll get the announcement. I believe tickets are £28 before booking fees. It's well worth it. We're
It's well worth
stoked
it.
as fuck.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that's everything that we had for tonight. So I just wanted to say thank you again for joining us on the Noise podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I'm joined this time by Emmy from the incredible Aussie band RedHook, who've just literally a few hours ago got back from touring the UK and EU. Emmy, how are you feeling?
Thanks, Will. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm jet lagged as all hell, but I'm excited to chat. I'm always excited to chat with you, my friend.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, no, it was a really cool tour because that was I think it was your third, I guess, around your third time in the UK because you've done a couple of downloads and the mini run with Stand Atlantic last year, and you've
Yeah.
just done a run with Dream State. How was it? How was the tour for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, as you know, I was crook as hell. I caught pretty much as soon as I landed in London, I started to feel shitty. And then I woke up on the first day of tour, just like with the flu from absolute hell. So I was battling to get through the shows and like keep my voice and not die. But the shows themselves were freaking amazing. We had the best time. I'm still blown away by just how many, because we weren't sure, like, because like for instance, London, like we played Download a couple of times, but we played London once in like I think it was 2019, and it was when the band first started. I'm sure we still sucked a lot. I think we'd only released like two or three songs. So that was our first time playing in London, like since literally the band first started. And yeah, like to have so many people there just like singing the songs back to us and stuff. It was crazy. It was so surreal and just very, very heartwarming. And it made soldiering through my germs very, very worth it.
I say because the London show was like it was. I was talking to a couple of friends, and it was like you were obviously, you obviously said you were sick, and like you could kind of hear it between songs, but like
Yeah.
for the first few, we were going, can't tell that you're poorly, and
Oh,
then I think it kind of crept in a bit because obviously you were really trying to protect your voice, and it was obvious you were trying to protect your voice, but at the same time, like it was such a fun show, and I think it's
ultimately.
still like translated as the energy that you always try and put forward for it.
Oh, that thank you, Will. So thank you so much for coming. I had so much fun in London. And yeah, normally I think I do this thing like mentally if my voice isn't 100%, like I'll try and just like go harder and crazier physically to kind of compensate. So I was probably doing a little bit of that. But yeah, it was so much fun. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to come back.
Well, we'll get onto that in a bit, but like, so next week though, you're also releasing your second album,
Yes.
which I know we've talked about before, but like, you've got to be really excited to be putting that out,
Oh my
even
God.
even like 18 months after your debut. And you said before, like, you were all just like, no, we're having too much fun, like, we're too impatient to get this out there.
Pretty much, pretty much. I'm so excited. I'm so so excited. And it's kind of like a double whammy of like yeah, just coming off the back of like still riding, the high of like all these amazing shows that we've just played in the UK and Europe, and now to be able to release the album straight away now that we're back. It's just like a lot. It's a lot to celebrate, and I'm just really, yeah, really excited for everyone to hear the record.
Yeah, and you're doing a few like launch parties, aren't you, in a couple of cities
Yeah.
back home. Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
are.
imagine those will be a blast.
Oh, they give me so much fun. I'm really excited that like it's weird, but I'm kind of excited that we're not playing and that we just get to go and just hang out with everyone. And like there's gonna be some, we're doing like crazy like dress up themes, and there's gonna be like like we're gonna get fans to do karaoke. So like Red Hook karaoke. So everyone else is gonna sing. I'm just gonna be chilling. It's gonna be great.
You mean like I've just been on tour doing this every night. It's your turn. No.
Yeah, it's your turn. You guys go. You guys do your thing. I'm gonna watch you.
Well, no, that'll be nice. Like it's a bit different as well, isn't it? You know, because like there's cool things like acoustic installs are always really fun. Like they're really special. But sometimes it's also just a bit fun to take the weight off and be like, it's cool. We're just gonna hang out and like
Totally.
that feels very kind of true to Red Hook as well. Like you've always built this connection of just being like mates, you know, and it's kind of feels like it kind of has that cross, you know, kind of crosses that barrier a little bit with a lot of like with some of the fans, and it's like it's just a fun
Totally.
thing.
And one of my favorite, like honestly, like one of my favorite things about playing shows is like afterwards when we get to be at the merch stand and like meet the fans and hang out with the fans, and then and it always like breaks my heart. There's always like a moment like where security will try and kick everyone out, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
probably yeah. So this will be like a really nice opportunity to just like just hang out and talk to everyone.
Yeah. To be fair, like the garage are pretty good because there was the garage that you played at when you were here
Yes.
in London, and they're pretty good. You know, there's venues I've noticed that are very much like, you finished playing, right? Everybody out unless you're buying merch, and like
Yeah,
that sucks.
100%. It's happened to us a few times in Australia and it's been really, really sucky. There was there was this one show that we played in Sydney. I won't name the venue, but yeah, like it was sold out. And as soon as we got off stage, I went into the green room for 5 minutes to like wipe all the fake blood off my face. And then I came out and I went to the bar to try and get a drink. They were like, no, bar's closed. And then I was like, oh, all right. And then I went to the
Oh,
merch stand and they kicked everyone out straight away. Like 5 minutes after we got off stage. It was so shit. I hated that.
it's like because even if from like a even just from a purely like band survival standpoint, you're like we're not making anything. Like we
Come
don't get to say hi to our
on.
fans. We don't get to sell a single T-shirt. It's like, yeah, but
It's
no,
just a
there's
car.
yeah, it's a shame. I get some places have to do it if they've got like a club night on afterwards, but at the same time, like then again, you have to do the disco loadout, and that sucks.
Oh, we don't. No one likes a disco loadout.
But moving on from that one, talking about records, the reason we're doing this is like last year, it's to do with your favorite records that have come out this year. So I've been trying to ask people to kind of send them over in advance just in case it's one I've not heard, but I don't know what your pick is. So what is your favorite record that's come out this year?
Oh, it's a tough one because there's been so many good ones, and especially here in Australia, like there's been so many Australian bands that have just released like incredible albums. I'm gonna give honorable mentions to Alpha Wolf. They just got nominated for a freaking Grammy
Yeah.
for like best box set or something, which is so sick. But yeah, that record absolutely slaps. Yours truly. There's another band over here, Void of Vision. They just released a really, really powerful album. Windwaker as well. But I have to, my favorite album of the year, I have to be like dead honest, and I gotta go with my bros in Stan Atlantic. That was here. Like they just like that band just cannot write a bad song. Like they just cannot. Like it's just every single album is just wall to wall, 10 out of 10 bangers. And yeah, this their fourth one is no exception. It's so good. And and I think it's very much this I mean we're obviously like very different bands, but I still really love like you never get bored listening to a Stan Atlantic album because there's so many different vibes and so many different flavors. And yeah, I think it's just a solid amazing album.
For sure. It's a really good one. I'd forgotten that came out this year, unbelievably. Like it's felt like in some ways it's felt like such a long year. But the
This year
stand
has felt so
yeah,
long, isn't it? It's
but
just
I agree, it's a really good record. It's a really creative record as well for them.
mm,
And I think one of my sort of favorite things about them is that you're not going to get the same thing two albums in a row. You know,
exactly.
they kind of did pop punk with Skinny Dipping, and they did Pink Elephant, which kind of went a bit more poppy. And then they
Mm,
kept that pop punk, but they've just branched out in so many different directions on the last two records. And it's really interesting and exciting to see them. be so kind of creatively fearless.
100%. Yeah, I find it so inspiring. And it's just like, and they just nail it like every time. Like every time they try something new, they just do it so well. And it's just, like you said, yeah, like so creatively fearless. And yeah, like it's just freaking awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a really interesting band, and like I don't think I've seen them yet. I think I was at a show the night they another show the night they played here in
Oh,
London.
oh, you got to
But
see him, Will. You got to see him. They're so good.
they're on the list of like I must see this band. But yeah, I think I was at another show, which is frustrating because I think the venue they played here, I live like a half-hour walk from.
Oh my God.
Like
No.
it's
Hopefully they
right.
play there again.
But yeah, I'm sure they'll come around again. You know, next year probably at this rate. Maybe the year after, but I'll catch them at some point. But yeah, no, Stand Atlantic was here is definitely like, and it's really interesting that you mentioned like there's so many great Aussie bands, and the amount of times that because I spoke to Mon from Reliqa,
Oh yes, Reliqa, another
God,
amazing,
earlier
like
this year.
so good.
Yeah, and
Did they drop their album this year? Was that this year?
yes, I
Oh my
think.
gosh. All right. I've now I feel bad that I missed out on Relica. Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, that was one that I kind of went into going, oh, okay, this is interesting. It's a prog metalcore new metal album. What? And then I listened to it and went, no, no, this is like the way that she can like control like her voice, the control she's
Oh,
got, kind of the flows that she's got is like, what is going on? You know, it's really interesting, and it's. I think I said to her something like, you're probably sick of hearing this, but like, they're really like, is there like genuinely is there something in the water that like because there's so many interesting bands like obviously Stand Atlantic who do this really creatively fearless kind of approach to pop punk that takes a lot from pop without ever stepping out of like the alt space.
yes.
And then obviously there's yourselves where you're playing with everything from like Nine Inch Nails kind of like industrial and EDM to new metal and pop punk as well.
Mm.
And then even the new Yours Truly record, which again is in like my one of my top. I've put it in my top 20. We've got to do the lists.
Mm.
I've put it in my
Gotta do
list, and
good.
like them embracing kind of like the easy core kind of neck of the woods on some songs, and then other ones that are just like liquid drum and bass for a bit.
Yeah. So many, yeah, it's so good. It's so hard to pick just one because there's so many amazing records that came out this year. But the one thing that I do want to say about Relica and Mon in particular is just like the theatricality of her vocals is something I've always found like so cool and so inspiring.
For sure. Yeah. I'm really hoping they can make it over next year, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm sure they will. I'll be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah. But speaking of, so that kind of brings us on to a good time to kind of move on from your favorite record of the year to what does 2025 hold for Red Hook? Because I'm sure you've got a lot of plans.
We do. A lot of them are still sort of taking shape. But the biggest thing that we're looking forward to is this UK European run that we've just done with Dream State was like a really good litmus test for us. And playing a lot of markets that we haven't really played before, or like because we've always really done these really strange because we've been over festival season. We've always done these sort of random kind of like I guess you call them like C&D markets that but it was like playing London again and yeah, and just getting to sort of see just kind of gauge how many fans we have in the UK and Europe. Um we're gonna do our first headline tour next year. We put on the big boy pants and we're gonna headline and play a lot more songs to the fans. I know a lot of the fans were, a bit disappointed because we can only play a half-hour set when we're supporting, and it's really hard to pick songs. So a lot of people are like, you didn't play my favorite song. So hopefully, yeah, we'll be coming over again real soon and playing some headline shows.
That'll be really cool. That'll be really cool to see because obviously then as well you can. I know I appreciate that you know you do what you can with like the time and the the frankly the budget that you have, but like it'll be really
Mhm.
cool to see you bringing what you bring over for a headline show. Because even when you're doing the support run, yeah, it might not be everyone's favorite songs that get played, but that's also kind of a compliment when you've got an album and a bit out. And
Yeah,
people are like, "Oh, you've not played my favorite," and it's like, "Well, we've still played a lot of what we have."
yeah, literally. We cram all it into that half an hour.
Yeah, but it'd be really because obviously you do like the fake blood and the zombie for like Dead Walk. It'd be really cool to see. I think a lot of people are going to be quite excited for myself as well for like how you kind of step that up on a headline run and what sort of tricks you pull out the bag. I mean, obviously, Download kind of gave you the space to do Red Hook Airlines and
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make sure that it's something special.
yeah, well, that'll be really exciting. Well, I think that's all we've got for today. But thanks so much for coming on and doing this. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Will. Thank you so much for having me.